That's right, good speech. Good.
I call the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's sad when we have new members with so little to contribute to the House. The idea of members like Nikki Khan, the member who's just spoken, fighting so hard to get in here and getting in here and making contributions which are frankly pathetic. Frankly pathetic, Mr. Speaker, showing no understanding of having read the bill, showing no understanding of the principles behind the bill, showing. Well, even if they borrowed the rather inadequate notes of the minister in charge of the bill, who I'm sad to say was, in a manner unusual for him, reading them in a relatively pedestrian manner during a second reading speech. Even that would have shown some initiative. It would have shown members who wanted to be here and who were vitally interested in the matter that was before them. As I've indicated on the first reading, Mr. Speaker, the first part of this bill is not that objectionable. I mean, clearly the census had to be delayed. There's a debate about whether it could have happened at the end of next year or whether it had to be held to 2013. Well, no, actually, Mr. Williamson, we are changing the legislation now. It doesn't have to be held in March, just like it doesn't have to be held in March this year. We're changing the year. We could actually change the month as well if we wanted to. Oh, so he wants to break the 5-year cycle, but he thinks that the month is sacrosanct. Well, that is, I accused my colleague Pete Hodgson earlier of being captured. I accused my colleague, the member over there, being captured. That member is being led along by a little ring for his nose by the government statistician. If he thinks that when you have a gap of 2 years between censuses, then the 6 month is the 6 month difference is absolutely vital. The member. Yeah, I think that might have been a very good argument in the 1930s. It's probably less of an argument now as our population has changed. Well, unlike the member, I've had some relatively recent experience in doing seasonal work, and yes, that's right. Very slow picking of asparagus, Mr. Speaker. But I think what I'm prepared to say is that within most areas there is some continuity of seasonal work. The fact that the government can't organise arrangements to make sure people are properly paid and do that work is probably not quite relevant to this piece of legislation. Mr. Speaker, I do concur with the comments that my learned colleague Charles Chevelle have made with regard to the other remedial provisions. It's a lovely way of putting it. I think this is better described as a rort for an individual that is an abusive process and something that should be frowned on. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague, he used a long word which I've never heard before, but it was explaining to me about the role of Parliament and about how you shouldn't, just as you shouldn't pass a law to imprison. No, there's plenty of words I don't know. I'm sure the member could educate me. The orange roughies offer it. No, I don't want it. No education for the orange roughie for me, thank you. Mr. Speaker, but just as Parliament should not pass laws to imprison an individual, my colleague explained to me, we should not pass laws to benefit an individual as we appear to be doing now.
The question is, I call the Honourable Member Sandra Gowdy.